What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
Mr. Ray, what's up, brother?
Hey, man, life is always good, man. Living sober, not getting enough sleep, not getting enough fitness, not eating healthy enough, not meditating enough, not reviewing my vision board enough. I got to do that right now, dude. But other than that, I still have a supremely blessed life, And we were just talking about how, for both of us, my vision board is tattered because I look at it so much.
Heck yeah.
Our scorecard has kind of fallen off the priority list in the last week or two, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, my scorecard is literally complete garbage. My life right now is the pure definition of lopsided. Like working 15, 16 hours a day. For the last couple weeks. Some days, normal days, like 10 hours, something like that. But the majority of the days, 15, 16 hours, like 100% lopsided.
Same. I am moving into my mom's basement, which is currently rented out by rats and cockroaches. So I need to, there needs to be a negotiation to get them to a new apartment. And then, move in there. So that's taking up a lot of my bandwidth, plus trying to work, plus trying to serve God instead of serving the devil, So things are a bit lopsided on my end too. Larry, how the hell are you?
Larry,
I am doing well. Thank you. It's good to see you guys.
You too, brother.
I apologize that I haven't been present, but I am now, and looking forward to catching up and hearing what's going on. And from what I jumped into, it sounds like the ditch has gotten a little deep.
Sure it has. But we know that a strong personal program is the best safeguard against getting your face rubbed in the bottom of that ditch. But we're both grown up enough to say that, we know that's the case, and we have not been kind of observing that wisdom, right, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, probably a good theme for today, just because it seems like we're both going through this. And Larry, I don't know if you can relate. I am definitely a big believer in holistic performance, balance, etc. But I was telling Ray before we hopped on, my life right now is so unbelievably not balanced. 15, 16 hours a day working. And I love it. This is not a complaint. Just as a little side note, I cannot stand when people use vanity metrics around business, especially. Oh, I work so much. Who cares? Right? You get to, in my personal opinion, you get to work, right? And the work that I'm doing, I'm not digging ditches. So this is not a complaint. I will say though, that my scorecard has suffered dramatically. And my biology is saying you're not digging ditches.
You look like garbage, Wes.
Yeah.
Can you please turn off your video?
Yeah. My biology is saying, dude, it's reminding me of my New York days, sort of a thing. So,
yeah.
But sometimes, in my opinion, you make hay while the sun shines, and if you don't, right, then you don't, right, then you don't make the hay. So that's kind of what's going on, Larry. What are your thoughts on balance, and perhaps at some points being not so balanced?
Well, I think balance is overrated to begin with. I think it's relative. Sometimes you got to work. And I mean, and I use work in the sense of you got to get a lot of stuff done in a short period of time. And pretty soon you realize that you've been doing that for a while now. And when there's consequences that aren't lined up with what your full picture is, then you have to take a look at those and, start making different priorities important if you're going to break away, other than just doing a sabbatical, which some people, they just work, and then they just do nothing. And that's a real inconsistent behavior. Brain loves predictability, yet it will, like you said, you let it go and it'll roll for you until you say, hey, how can I make this better for myself? How can I do these 16 hours and still stay in shape, still, provide great nutrition for myself and all of those other elements, and have some socialization. And it's amazing, as well as I do, both of you, that if you put it in there, you'll find a way to pull it off. And sometimes it's, well, this is more important than that. Relative to what? And that's always our frame of reference. And so I guess, Wes, I would ask you, what is this guiding North Star for you? What is relative to what for you, so that that I need to change, I need to make an adjustment in the course I'm on?
Yeah. So for me, it's always, and she would kill me if she knew how to use a computer, because this is my grandmother. She's on my iPhone.
Okay. Okay.
So this was years and years ago, and the picture is, I didn't have enough money, because I plowed so much money back into the business. I didn't have enough money to buy her a beach chair. And she's got a bum knee sort of a thing. So, and she's a trooper. So she didn't complain one bit. But on this particular day, I didn't have enough money to buy her a beach chair, and we were on the beach. And then her flight got changed that particular day. Like, I just learned, like, after I was going through it, like borderline in tears on the beach, I then get a phone call from my mom telling me that her flight changed from Orange County to LAX, and I had a hair's worth of gas in the gas tank, and I couldn't afford gas. So I'm like sitting there, I'm like, this is like one of those universe things. I'm like, this is not going to work. So I'm just like, I don't give a shit if I break down on the way back, but please do not let me break down on the way there. So like, the 16 hours a day is not hard. Like, I just look at this constantly. That's why it's on my.
This is like the Hanukkah oil that burned for 8 days in the Old Testament, man. Like, you were literally driving on fumes, eh?
Dude, and in traffic,
yeah,
right, to and from. Somehow I got, like, literally round trip. Like, to this day, no idea how. Like, just the math does not make sense.
Yeah.
The answer is it was in that lecture. Yeah.
How long ago did this happen?
That was a little under 11 years ago.
11 years. That's a long time to burn oil.
Yeah.
And hold on, Larry, so what if I looked at this as Wes shaming himself that he was a bad son, and he has to, he's forever in the karmic shadow of this day, which Grandma probably remembers as a great day that she got to spend with her favorite grandson, right? When I was desperately
would be feeling terrible if she knew what he
if she used the computer,
had gone through.
But an artist that I work with, who I'm working with right now, when I was desperately trying to find a home for her show, she said, and I've mentioned this before, she said, don't lose yourself in the process, right? That comes to mind when I think of Wes burning the midnight oil, just to continue the metaphor, at work, and then also the way he kind of the way this negative experience fuels him, right? I'm not sure he's at risk of losing himself in the process, but what do you think of all that?
Well, I know. Have you ever pulled a dog out of the water, a little dog, and its feet are still going? That's kind of how I visualize Wes right now. Is he's got something to prove?
Yeah,
and it's not to his grandmother.
No.
And I think that's where the real important thing to remember is who am I doing this for? And, I think that's great that, that he has done what he's done. But sometimes it's like someone who needed to lose 50 pounds and now they've lost 100 and they still look in the mirror and think they're overweight. And, when he reaches 20 million in the bank or 200 million, unless the reason behind why he's doing what he's doing shifts, that will always be the measurement, and you'll never be enough. You'll never quite make it. And I know intellectually that you get all that. Mm-hmm. And that you read voraciously and you read the right stuff, and yet you've got such a huge blind spot to what we all want for you, and that is for Wes to take care of Wes because we love you.
Yeah.
And we don't, right? And
or to love himself as much as we love him, or to to cherish himself as much as we cherish him, right?
Yeah, and I think knowing Wes, you'd say, well, I do. I'm still,
I tick that box.
Think that becomes rationalization.
I do. I tick that box. It's right here on my daily operating system. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got most of us have about 7 boxes. You've got 7,000 boxes, and you're upset when you miss one. So I think the drive is a wonderful thing. I think your tenaciousness, your resiliency, but again, at what cost? And you're the only one that can answer that. And you're going to do what you need to do. Just remember, there's more than just your grandma out there who cares about you, and also needs your nurturing as well while you're building a business. And I think that you'll find, again, do you remember, you familiar with Buckminster Fuller at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Beauties of Gnomes,
okay, well,
all that stuff.
Yeah, more. His whole concept is more with less. Mm-hmm. And what that means is you got to figure out how to do twice what you're doing now and half the time with twice the fun. And the way you figure that out is you change what the outcome is that you're going after. And what I mean by that is, instead of giving yourself 6 months to pull it off, you behave as if it's pulled off. You don't try to give yourself 1 month to pull it off because you'll kill yourself. So it's a conceptual shift in what drives us intrinsically. And when you examine that, you ask yourself, is doing what I'm doing in my best interest? And if it's, no, I can't do this, I can't do that. Okay, well, how do I do that instead of, important point, instead of how do I do that, is what do I feel like now that I've done that?
Larry, and Wes, you will get a chance to talk. But to the question that Wes should ask himself, who am I doing this for? Should the answer be myself? Is that the best answer?
Well, if you really get into spirituality, if you're not about yourself, you're denying everything you've been given. You're denying the opportunity to give back, to pay back, to be grateful, to share this wonderful gift that we had. It's not about sacrifice. I mean, that's such a misnomer, that I'll sacrifice my way to heaven or to a better life, and life's a struggle and all. That is just, it's ignorance. It's manipulation. It's a limiting belief, and it's not what the universe is conspiring for us. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so far superior and divine to what we ever give it credit for. So we look at these little ideologies and we try to wrap ourselves around that because it's easier to understand. And so this is the bottom line here is quit trying to figure out how and start owning the end outcomes that you want. Now, you remember Covey, he said, start with the end in mind. That was close. But what we're really talking about is own it now. Own the fact that you have a fulfilling life, Wes, and it's not just about
successful.
how much money you can make. Own that. Own that you're the healthy mother, you know what. And then what happens is when you get evidence that doesn't match that, you don't say, oh, I got to do this for my grandma. You know, I will never be in that situation again. I mean, that was a heavy, heavy experience in your life that imprinted such a dominant need to succeed that you lost your sense of perspective on how to channel that. You know, you're just writing it. And man, I'm telling you, you're a great writer.
Wes, thoughts about how much we love you and how we feel about you and
No, I appreciate all of this. Definitely. What happened in that particular moment was you know how they say, like, you can bump into trauma wounds, like when you're going through it with your spouse or something like that. So at that point in my life, I was good. I was supposed to be completely good. I had already gone through my leg on Wall Street, et cetera. And then when I came out here to build a business, one of my pieces of my personality that I just accept is pretty extreme. You know, it's like very binary. You're either all in or you don't even try, you know? So when I came out here, I had a bunch of money saved up. It's like, okay, now my new focus is to grow this business. So then we just went all in on that. And then when this happened, and I didn't care, it's like, I'm happy to burn everything down, right? In the expectation that it'll let a new forest grow. And if it doesn't grow, doesn't grow. That's fine. But I'd rather be able to look at my future son and say, you know, you should go all in on things. And if he were to ask me, it's like, okay, here's the 55 things that I did in the last handful of years that went all in on. What I did not anticipate was that particular thing happening, where my extreme bets would impact my core team. And my core team at that time was purely like my mom and my grandma, you know, like, my mom and my grandma at that time. So that's what it was just like collateral damage that I did not anticipate. And I was like, okay, like, this is a problem. So, and then honestly, it serves me, you know, but it at times it can get out of hand. So that's kind of where we are.
Well, you know, you made a powerful statement about my son will look at me and understand what it means to be all in. And, you know, my dad had 3 businesses and I didn't really get to spend any time with him till I was 14 years old. Because he was showing me what it was like to be all in. And I think that it's important that I really believe you can have your cake and eat it too. I really believe you can. I think it's a misnomer that it's pick and choose. I think that you don't challenge yourself when you just go in one lane and you just work, and you don't also become an amazing social creature, an amazing athletics, you know, opportunities to participate, and all of these things just make that effort, that drive of yours even more enhancing. And you begin to open up to new opportunities that you couldn't see before because the blinders that we put on. Remember, if I ask you to look for red, you're not looking for green. You know, I mean, it's all you see now is red. And that's just a skill set that we need to develop, you know, which we didn't need to when the brain was designed. I mean, it was just listening for the fear all around us so that we could stay alive. But now that we're beyond that, I mean, now what does it mean to stay alive and thrive? So I know this is temporary, Wes, what you're going through. I'm talking more globally. so that you realize, are you going to be able to spend any time with your son, or is it going to be on Saturday from 11 in the morning to 11:44?
Mm.
And then you got that box checked off. And there's nothing wrong with living like that, as long as it's fulfilling that feeling in self that, hey, this is working. So,
no, I know something's got to change. And I could articulate all of the 50 things that are coming up and wanting to argue both of you, but I know you're right, 100% right. Like
it makes me think of like the going from scarcity to abundance mindset, right? That's kind of what like we're talking about. So Wes, I would challenge you to change your screensaver and feel like you're not dishonoring your grandmother or dishonoring your mission, right? For example, and it drives my family crazy, but I took a screenshot of my phone lock screen, and you can see it's a fantastic picture that someone took of me. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't that glorious? And I look at that and I say to myself, who's the man? Okay. And what's wrong?
Is your low-key way of asking me to put you on my screensaver? Is that what's going on
A better idea for starters?
There you go.
Do this.
There you go.
There you go.
And like, and hey, I'm no spiritual giant. I'm just saying like, yeah, I'm just one brother to another, as you say. You could try doing things my way. It might completely derail the whole operation. We don't know, but it'll be, like, I don't know if you're going to get twice as much done using half as much, but you're going to have twice as much fun.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And for the guys listening who perhaps have a similar flavor of the equivalent of body dysmorphia in a certain area of life.
I think Larry said denying self, which I think is like right, like denying self or not putting yourself first, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I think one of the themes that all of us have is trying to find a way to feel worthy. And that we feel deserving of this, and we look at these pictures, with our arms raised out there, and it's looking like a stud muffin, and then we go, but if they only knew, and that we got to stifle that. If they only knew what, that we're human and we made some mistakes, and sometimes that costs people prison time. But, there was I think it wasn't the Pope, it was some individual high up in clergy that went to a prison, and he said, the only difference between you and I, you got caught. And I think that's such a powerful, deep breath kind of thing, that what am I running away from instead of what am I accomplishing along the way? And when I am with another human being, do I leave them better off than before I got there? And you guys are all about that.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Like that's why, in a way, it's hard to give Wes like a proper intervention, because he already does that. Like he already lived. Okay, I guess what the problem is. It's the problem for Wes is the opposite. He gives so much to others. He lives to serve others. Our intervention is about who's taking care of Wes.
Yeah. Well, I think you nailed it too when you said he needed it. I just tweak it a bit. Said he needed to take the grandmother off of his screensaver
without feeling like he dishonors her.
He needs to leave her, but add others on there. Other pictures, right?
Like
so that when he does,
like Larry, for example. A range of pictures that more accurately describes his loving relationship with her.
Yeah.
Wes,
so
mop
Wes,
up your
what are your
tears
thoughts?
and tell me what you think.
I think Larry's jockeying for position on the screensaver too. I think that's what's going on.
I gotta send this.
No, like I said, I completely agree with you guys. I for sure can tell you that if I was being super honest, and this is not some sort of humble brag, the first time I heard something that's similar to whatever bug is in my brain was when I watched The Last Dance, the whole Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, such and such documentary, where they said Michael Jordan would make up things to get his like saliva glands going and ready for murder. Like he would literally just make up stories and then tell people those stories. Like, oh, this guy said this thing and I'm going to show him, sort of a thing, you know? And that he would
manufacturing the rage to shovel that rage coal into the furnace and get, and burn, baby, burn.
Yeah. And I could tell you that was the first time I've ever heard that. And the first time I've heard it spoken out loud, and I've done that in the past.
You felt seen? You felt heard?
Yeah. Well,
He's telling my story.
The reason I say it is because I can tell you for sure the answer in my head always, it's one word, and it's always more. Like more. Like that is 100% my answer all the time. I'm not saying that's healthy, but I'm saying that is for sure the reality. And I will say, I think there's a certain probability I know how the story ends. I could also tell you that I love the game. Like, absolutely love the game.
That's the thing, Wes. Like, and that's what I'm having trouble with too, gentlemen, is like, I'm under so much pressure to get a job at a bank or something from my wife, who very reasonably wants her husband to contribute the maximum amount or even the minimum amount to the family, right? But I'm not sure if I'm following God or following Satan by putting my needs first and what I want first. You know what I mean, Wes? And I'm sure you would have some kind of similar spiritual discomfort if you stopped putting everyone else first, or stopped that satanic drive to succeed. Like there'd probably be an adjustment period.
Yeah. If you could imagine, if you ever spoken with somebody who was like a product of the Depression, like they are different. They are.
Bro, Sarah's grandpa said, "Ray, why are you flushing the toilet every time?"
Yeah.
Right? Literally.
Yeah. No, and you go and talk to people who have enough of a sting from that, you can't change them. Right. Like at least that's my personal
trauma,
perception.
Baby.
So I went through my own version of depression when I was a kid. And so it's like, I can see it. And I really appreciate what Larry's saying. It's like Wes intellectually knows, right? It's like, I'm looking at it through a glass, just on the table. It's like, yeah, I know what's going on. But for some reason, that switch cannot, I've tried many times, talked to many therapists, talked to many different people. And almost because they put their hand on that switch and I slap their hand off of it. I'm like, get off my switch. That's the fuel, brother. So
I know.
So yeah, that's what's going on.
Stop siphoning my fuel.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with channeling, Wes?
Yeah, I channel my rage on every single day, my friend.
Yeah,
except for this 1 hour.
Yeah. Take all of that drive and energy, and no matter whether it's from the depressing experiences or abundance, doesn't matter. It's going to drive you anyway, but the outcomes are different, and the journey is different. And it's kind of like Einstein, and I think I've shared this before. He said there's only one question you have to ask yourself: is everything a miracle, or are there no miracles? He said that's the only question you have to ask yourself. And he goes, and don't look for evidence first before you make the decision. That's where people blow it. He said, but once you decide everything's a miracle, that's all you'll see. Once you decide there are none, that's all you'll see. And so it's not about you can't change this, or people from the depression can't change their mind about the experience they had. Of course they can't. That's an experience that they had that's going to serve them either well or it's going to serve them poorly. So the key then is to ask yourself, what do I want this drive to do for me and my life? And rather than setting all these goals, and this is where we get caught up, all of our training has been set that if you want to accomplish something, you got to put it out there. If you can put a time frame on it, great. If you can monitor it daily by the moment, we all understand the methodology. Mm-hmm. And then we say, well, the difference is those that follow it and those that don't. Well, now let's get into quantum physics a little bit. Let's talk about how a molecule can be in more places at the same time than one. And that is difficult for us to fathom because we compare ourselves to, can I be in more places at the same time than where I am right now? And the answer is you already are. So the reality then is, okay, well, how do I want to show up in those realities? Well, you're driving to make all this money, Wes. You can either be doing it so that you're never in scarcity, or you can do it because you love abundance. And I think those are overused. You can do it to look for the opportunity within that moment to not only be doing it for someone else, but then what am I receiving from that while I'm doing it? So that you're not exhausted after the 16 to 18 hours. And even though you go, yeah, but I love that exhaustion. I mean, that exhaustion fuels me. And so what you're really saying is, I don't give a what you say. I want to continue this, whether it's good for me or not. Mm-hmm. And then maybe when I crash, maybe then I'll take a look at it. But right now, I haven't crashed. Well, I don't know if that's the best philosophy in the world. Mm-hmm. I think you need to continue to drive. We're not trying to change the drive. You're not trying. Why try to change something so miraculous? How many of us listening would love to have just a little tiny bit of that, as opposed to, okay, I think it's time to rest now. Well, now that I'm resting, maybe I ought to have something to drink, or maybe there's something to eat. I know it's not good for me, but I'll just have it this one time. And, I haven't binged for a long time. What's on Netflix? And nothing wrong with that either. It's a choice. But by God, if you're gonna eat that, enjoy every single morsel of it. Don't gulp it down and feel guilty because you ate it at 4 a.m. so nobody would see that you're not following your nutrition plan. Quit lying to ourselves. And Wes,
you're good enough.
I and the both of you am blessed that I've had the opportunity to meet both of you, because you're so honest and you're so much into making this short time that we have in this thing called life as monumentous as we can. And then be careful that the drivers aren't some historic element that we got driven into our brain that doesn't serve us any longer.
Goddamn,
because
Larry,
that's
we're the lucky ones,
shift.
man. We're the lucky ones, dude. And first of all, I love you and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today and every day that you're here. I love what you said about Einstein and miracles. And I'm not sure if you said it before, but you can repeat that as many damn times as you want. Once you decide there are miracles, that's all you'll see. And once you decide there are no miracles, that's all you see. Well, I would prefer to walk around thinking I'm surrounded by miracles, And
yeah, that's a great quote.
I just thought of the fact that I get to sell art and talk about art is a miracle. The fact that I have work that is spiritually fulfilling, like Wes said, and not digging ditches or whatever, is a miracle. That really captures it in terms of if I'm in an argument with someone who maybe doesn't see the thing eye to eye, it's like, look, I rubbed a lamp and a genie came out and I asked him to give me the job that I love that's spiritually fulfilling, and he granted me that wish, And that's that's how special it is.
and stay open along the way to be doing something as well. So your partner is not struggling with the challenge of when's he going to contribute. Do it all. Find a way to be open to go, yeah, I could do that 4 hours a day. I don't have to give up what I'm doing and then bring these other elements to the party so that she's saying, thank you so much for caring enough about me, to bring in an extra couple $100 a week or a day or a moment or whatever the case may be.
She got to him, Ray. She got to him. I heard that text message ding a little earlier. I was wondering.
No, she put the chip in him.
No, I'm speaking from experience, bro.
I know, dude. And no, but I like what you mean. Like, do it all. Like, being a great provider and a great dad and a great husband doesn't have to come at the cost of doing what you love.
Yeah.
Right. That's like that whole sacrifice kind of binary that you're throwing out the window.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, this session has been awesome. Thank you guys for allowing me to vent a little bit, and then also to giving me a mirror to look into in my own personal therapy session. I'm going to, and for all the guys who need to hear this, consider taking the weekend for some personal care. As much as it is frustrating for me to say something like that, because literally as the words come out of my mouth, I'm like, the fuck does personal care mean? But for those of us who need to hear that, go do something good for yourselves this weekend. Any parting words of wisdom from you gentlemen?
Well, for me, Larry, you're the second best guy I know. And Wes, you are absolutely the best guy I know. And I love you, man. And what I know,
Larry, thanks for saying that stuff to support his wife, because that order would have been reversed a couple minutes ago. So
Larry,
thanks,
that's a jagged little pill for you to swallow, man. You know I love you too, but Wes is a fucking king.
Right back at you, brother. All right, dudes. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Later.